Shake on It by It's_Kingston on AO3. Episode 16. Chapter 16. Can we talk? Luz surprised herself as she spoke. The words were leaving her mouth, despite her brain telling her not to say them. She opened her eyes. As she looked over at Amity, who was unbothered, her eyes still locked to the paper in front of her. Yeah, sure. Amity mumbled. She set her pencil down and spun her chair to look at Luz, who was standing in the doorway. Do you want to sit down? Amity gestured to her bed. Oh, yeah, sure. Luz awkwardly replied, walking across the room and sitting down. They sat in uncomfortable silence until Amity spoke. What did you want to talk about? Her voice was cold. She sounded rightly hurt. Luz kept her eyes glued to the floor as she fidgeted with her hands. She took a deep breath to calm her nerves as she thought back to Eda's words. Listen, she tried to talk to you. If she hated you, she'd cut you out, right? I'm sorry, Luz began, speaking slowly. For everything. The running away and the freaking out and... Luz paused for a moment. She looked up to meet Amity's eyes. And for kissing you, Luz added quietly, noticing Amity lightly touch her cheek. Amity was intently listening and genuinely taking in Luz's apology. A few moments of silence passed, and this time, Luz didn't run. She gritted her teeth and waited, bearing the crushing weight of the silence. Finally, the light at the end of the tunnel was in her view. It's okay. I get it, you know? The whole freaking out thing. I did too. But it hurt when you avoided me. But you came here and apologized almost right away. Amity stopped, a small smile on her features. Friends? She asked, holding out her hand. Luz cringed at the word, but ignored it. She reached out and took Amity's, the pair smiling again. Suddenly, Luz reached into her pocket and pulled out a case. She put it on the desk in front of Amity, who looked at the blank cover in confusion. What is this? Amity asked, picking it up. Open it, Luz said, watching as Amity opened it, revealing the DVD inside. Your favorite, right? You were complaining about not it being streamed anymore when, we were watching movies last night? Luz said, smiling. It was my plan B if the apology didn't go well. Amity laughed, before excitedly going over to her shelf and pulling out a extremely dusty DVD player. Oh, whoa, Luz said. She was convinced there was at least 10 pounds of dust on it. Amity cleared it off and hooked it to the TV before putting the movie in. Amity sat down on the bed as the movie started up. Luz still sat at the edge. Amity hit play, and the movie began, showing the credit scenes before the actual movie started. Amity looked over at Luz and saw her sitting uncomfortably at the end of the bed. As the characters on screen began talking, Amity scooted over and patted the bed beside her, earning a confused look from Luz. Come on, you're gonna miss it if you sit down there, Amity said, waving for Luz to come over. Are you sure? I can see just fine from here. Luz said back, oblivious to Amity's true intents. Amity sighed before pausing the movie. Just come sit here. It's more comfortable. Amity technically wasn't lying. Okay. Luz shrugged, sitting beside Amity. They sat shoulder to shoulder as they watched the movie. Luz laughed every time she saw Amity quote the scene as it happened, sometimes watching her act it out too. By the halfway point of the movie, they'd both gone from sitting with their backs against the wall to laying down, cuddled up like last time. When the post-movie credits began, Luz, who really didn't want to leave, suggested watching another movie. Before they could put it on, Luz got a call. She dug her phone out and sat up, raising it to her ear. Hey, Eda. Hey, kid. I need you to come save me. What? Eda, are you okay? For now, Hooty and King have formed an alliance. I ran out of crackers. They like me, and now they won't let me in the kitchen. Luz laughed at Eda's situation, earning an annoyed groan from the other end of the line. Don't laugh at me, kid. No dinner for me means no dinner for you. Do I have to come home now? Just get some crackers and drop them off. Then you could go back to making up and making out with the Blight kid. Luce almost dropped her phone, barely catching it as Amity watched and laughed. No, we did not. Not what? Make up? No, we didn't. Luce stopped and looked at Amity, who seemed to be listening in on the strange conversation. We didn't do the other thing. You sound disappointed, kid. I'm not. I'll be there in a minute. Jeez. Luce hung up before Eda could say anything else. She turned to Amity and sighed. Eda needs me to save her from Hooty and King. They're out of crackers and formed an alliance. Now they're holding the kitchen and Eda's dinner hostage. Luce relayed. Amity went to say something but stopped, considering what she just heard. If anyone else said that, it would be an unbelievable excuse to leave. But you're saying that. I believe it. Amity laughed. Is that a good or bad thing? Luce asked as they walked to the door. Amity shrugged and stood up, walking to the door too. You coming too? Luce asked curiously. No, I need to get my homework done, but I'll walk you to the door so the twins don't jump you. Amity replied. As Luce and Amity walked to the front door, the twins poked their head around the corner, both smiling. Ed and Em ducked back into the living room, each giving each other a high five. Hey, is it okay if I come back after I get the crackers? Luce asked as they went to downstairs. Yeah, just make sure to bring your homework so we can get it done, Amity said, opening the front door. Will do. Luce pretended to salute Amity before spinning and walking down the porch. Oh, can you open that? It's tiring to climb over it. Luce asked, pointing to the gate that sat at the end of the driveway. Yeah, sure. Wait. That's how you've been getting in? You didn't see the buzzer? Amity said back, holding back a laugh. You really something. She fumbled, smiling at Luce, who looked confused. One more thing, Amity said, running down the stairs and over to Luce. Amity grabbed the collar of Luce's shirt and pulled her down to her eye level before quickly planting a kiss on Luce's cheek. Amity spun around and went back upstairs. She glanced over her shoulder and smiled. We're even now, she declared before shutting the door. Luce stood there, staring at the door Amity went through, with her hands pressed to her cheek. Is this what magic feels like? Luce mumbled, turning around and slowly walking away. Her face felt like it was melting, and her heart was beating so fast, Luce was scared it might explode. She walked into the gate, which knocked her backwards and out of her own head. Jeez, she mumbled. I'm such a disaster now. What does she do to me? Luce stood up and hit the buzzer, not going to attempt climbing the gate in her state. Her face hurt from smiling as she ran through town, eagering to get back to the Blight Manor as quick as possible. She already had her wallet out by the time she entered the store, and was dodging carts and shoppers to get through as fast as she could. Is this all? The cashier asked uncomfortably, as Luce put the box of crackers on the counter. Yep, Luce said, probably too enthusiastically. She hastily put the money on the counter and grabbed the crackers before taking off, following the familiar path to Eda's house. Luce was extremely giggly. Whatever effect Amity was having on her wasn't wearing off any time soon. I'm here, Luce shouted as she walked inside, her lungs burning from the long run. King, Hooty, come here, she called from the doorway. King toddled it around the corner. Hooty perched on his back. Luce opened the box and held a cracker up. Hooty flew up and took it from her hands before flying away. King waited, not very patiently, for his, running circles around Luce. Here you go, buddy, Luce said, holding a cracker out to him, which he hastily snatched. Luce patted King on the head as Eda instantly peeked from around the corner. Oh, good. Thought it was a goner. Eda mumbled as Luce handed her the box. Thanks for dropping these off, Eda said, a smirk growing on her. How'd it go with the Blight kid? Luz's face grew as warm as she raced past Eda to her room. Good. Talking to her worked. I'm gonna go back to do homework. Luz came back downstairs with more books than she could carry, accidentally dropping one as she spoke. Geez, kid, put them in a bag or something, Eda said, watching as Luz tried to pick up the fallen one without dropping more. Good idea, Luz declared, setting them on the couch and running back upstairs. She returned with a backpack and piled the books as Eda watched. Do you have enough books? Eda laughed, after seeing Luz almost unable to zip the bag shut. Luz grumbled in annoyance, finally shutting the bag and throwing it over her shoulder. Have fun with the Blight kid, Eda called as Luz ran out the house waving. Luz had finally found the buzzer on the outside of the gate that Amity told her about. After hitting it, nothing happened, so Luz hit it again. This time, something happened. Geez, Luz, I heard it the first time. It's really loud and annoying. Em is letting Mittens know that you're here. I'm operating the gate now. Ed's voice came over the speakers. The gate slid open, allowing Luz to walk through this time. She ran up the doorway and to the porch, nervously waiting for Amity. Wait, are things the same between us? Can I act the same? Will she act the same? Nothing big happened, right? Wrong? Maybe? The panicked thoughts came back with Luz as she stood in front of the looming wooden doors, awaiting her fate. As if on cue, the door swung open, revealing Amity. Hey, Luz, Amity said, stepping back to let her in. Hey, Luz said back as she followed Amity inside and to her room. The panicked thoughts and fears seemed to melt away, like Luz had never even thought something bad could happen. Did you bring your homework? Amity asked as they walked into her room. Right here, Luz said, sliding the book bag off her shoulder. It hit the ground with a thud, causing Amity to turn around. I said bring your homework, not your entire locker, she said sarcastically, watching as Luz pulled book after book out of the bag. I wanted to be prepared. We have exams coming up and... Oh no, Luz said, looking over at Amity. Your over-preparedness is rubbing off on me. That's probably a good thing. You would have probably failed half your tests without me. Amity fired back confidently. No way. Half is way too much. Maybe like 3%? Luz argued. Sure. Hey, I'm great at studying. That's why I'm gonna beat you in our finals. Luz said back, pulling out another book and adding it to her growing sack. Isn't that what you said before losing to me last time we took exams? Amity said. She sat down beside Luz, a smirk growing on her face. This time is different. You're studying with me, and I don't have to worry about being kicked out. Luz replied, crossing her arms. Neither of us will score high if we don't stop messing around and start studying, Amity said, causing Luz to sigh. Oh, come on. This is way more fun. Luz and Amity worked tirelessly on their piles of homework until dinner, when the tins wished in and stopped their flow. You both should eat, Em said, leaning over Luz's shoulder to look at what she was doing. Ed hummed in agreement. Breaks are better than work, especially when it's dinner time, he declared. Okay. Luz leaned back and stretched before sitting up. It's weird to eat dinner in your house without you, she said to Amity, who was still writing something down. 1 minute, Amity murmured, still focused on the paper. Once you start working, there's no stopping her, Em said, shaking her head in disappointment. I can hear you, you know, Amity said, putting down the pencil and turning around. What did you two order for dinner? She asked the twins. We know how to cook, Ed said, gasping and dramatically holding his hand to his chest. Yeah, Em agreed, copying the gesture. I wouldn't eat anything you made. It would probably poison me. Amity backfired, a smile growing on her face. Luz stood and watched, a warm feeling exploring into her as she saw Amity smile. We picked up food from the burger shack, the twins said in defeat. You made sure to get cookies? Amity interrogated them. That's what we forgot, Ed said, face-palming. He looked up and saw Amity staring him down, causing him to hold up his hands in defense. Joking. I'm joking. We got your cookies. Cool it, Mittens. Em laughed at him before dragging him out of the room, letting Luz and Amity talk in peace as they came downstairs. So, are you staying over tonight, Luz? Em asked as she grabbed the food. Can I? Luz asked, doing the same. Yeah, sure. I don't mind, Ed said as he walked into the kitchen. I don't think she was asking you, Em replied, elbowing him in the side, causing him to groan. Yeah, you can stay over if you want, Amity said back, sitting down to eat. Sure, Luz responded, sitting down across from Amity. Em smirked, and, not so subtly, dragged Ed out of the room. We're gonna be eating upstairs and watch a movie. A loud movie, like the loudest movie, so we won't be able to hear that or could happen down here, Em said as she pulled a confused Ed upstairs. We are? Ed asked, quickly being shushed by Em. Amity seemed to get the message and buried her face in her hands. I swear to the Titan, she grumbled. Luz, on the other hand, obviously missed the message. She was too distracted by Amity. Wait, is your hair not naturally green? Luz asked, seeing the brown roots as Amity put her head down. Oh, no, Mother insists I dye it to match her, M and N's. It's normally brown, like my dad's. Amity grabbed a strand and held it out. Guess I should redo it soon. She sighed. Do you want to? Luz asked, a concerned expression on her face. Not really, Amity said sadly, resting her head down on her arms again. Then don't, Luz suggested. It's pretty like that, with the brown. Amity looked up and smiled before sitting up to talk. Thanks, she said, thinking about her next words. I have always wanted to dye it a different color, but I've never had anyone to help me. I could be your partner in crime, Luz said, standing up quickly and striking an antagonist pose. Why are we the villains? Amity laughed as Luz displayed. Luz only shrugged in response before sitting back down to finish eating. After we eat, do you want me to help you out? I have plenty of experience dyeing hair, Luz boasted. Do you dye yours? Amity asked, using the question as an excuse to closely look at Luz. No, but I'd always help Eda dye her hair gray, Luz said back like it was perfectly normal. Why does she dye it gray? I thought that was natural, Amity asked. Nope. She dyes it so she could get the senior discount on the froyo place, Luz said, taking a bite of her food. Amity couldn't help but laugh, knowing how plausible the situation was. I don't want mine gray, Amity said, trying to choke back the laughter. I think any color would look beautiful on you, Luz mumbled. Her heart skipped a beat as she laughed alongside Amity. Seeing the girl happy made her indescribably ecstatic. I want it purple, Amity declared, sitting in the front of the bathroom mirror with Luz right behind her. Oh, that sounds good, Luz said, looking at Amity in the mirror. Why purple, though? I just like the color. It's pretty. Amity shrugged. I've had the idea for a while, but I didn't want anyone to know until I dyed it. The box is over there. She pointed to the small cabinet in the corner. I'll get it, Luz said, retrieving it from the back of the cabin. She brought it back over and held it up. I bet it'd look good on you. Amity giggled. Is that an actual bet? It's one I'll definitely win, Luz declared, turning around and setting the box down. Amity smiled wildly as she watched Luz in the mirror, a warm feeling growing as she watched Luz hum as she got ready. What do you think? Luz asked from behind Amity, putting her hands on her shoulder, causing both of them to shush. It looks really nice. I really like it, Amity excitedly said as she looked at herself in the mirror, turning side to side to see every angle. Amity spun around to face Luz, quickly walking over and wrapping her in a tight embrace. Thanks for doing this, she mumbled into Luz's shoulder. Both of them enjoyed the warmth and didn't plan on letting go, until Ed knocked on the door. Hey, Mittens, Ed said urgently, pounding on the door. Unlike normal, he sounded nervous. Em was frantically heard talking to someone in the background, her voice lacking the playfulness it normally contained. Mother's home early. Oh my god, finally! I was like, at the beginning of this chapter, and like towards the middle as well, I was like, do these kids just not have parents who live at home? What's going on? When is Mother Dearest gonna arrive? No, not Mother Dearest. Incubator. Sorry. Also, I don't think I've ever mentioned this, Kingston, but I really like the whole bit on shake on it. The whole like, oh my god, let's make a bet, shake on it, being like the whole thing. I think it's so cute. Are we gonna get a chapter where they're married and they do something like that too? Or no? Probably not. I don't know. Who knows? Anyways, next chapter, chapter 17. I'm just gonna go down and read a random one. Luckily for Luz, the thing that mattered most to Odalia, second to her business, of course, was her children. Or rather, her ability to brag about her children. To her, they were simply there to take over her successful business and to be put on a public pedestal. Okay. So, okay. Kingston, I really like your writing. Kingston, like your writing. Kingston, I like your writing. Kingston, I like your writing. Also, this was a cute chapter. I think it was cute. I was a little worried, and I was like hounding on you yesterday, but like, don't worry. Not hounding on you today, Kingston. I like this. Are you gonna make me regret saying this tomorrow? Probably. Maybe. Okay. Anyways, as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.